Hello, everyone.
Yay!
And hello, Satu. Hello, Alison.
Hey, hello.
We're officially live.
And alive.
And alive.
On the 15th birthday of Talk to the Entities. Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday, Talk to the Entities.
Yay.
Yeah. Doesn't it seem like way longer than 15 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I only got involved like 10 years ago. I'm not sure about you guys, but it feels a lot longer.
Something like that. Definitely. Feels like it's just always been around.
Yeah.
Or it should have always been around.
Totally. So I'm in Sweden at the moment. Satu?
Oh, I'm in Finland, so we're like close by.
We're nearby. We're holding hands. Alison, where are you?
Almost.
I was just telling them I'm in the middle of, I think I'm in the middle of Kansas somewhere in a field. I don't live here, but.
Although your headdress might like say something different.
I know. I'm looking the part. I'm their new scarecrow. It's my new job.
Alison just blends in wherever she goes. She's just like, I'm here now.
I like it. I like it. Speaking of, I never used to think I was aware of entities. I used to think I blended in. And then about 3 Talk to the Entities classes in, I started using the tools and I was like, whoa, like I did an entity clearing because of an example that Shannon gave in the class of like these sort of entity signs and symptoms you might have if you're aware of entities, which was just like fucking normal for me. And then I was like, oh, I have that. And then I cleared entities like after class and it was just like completely gone for the first time ever in my life. Like all of these, like the paranoia, this like intense sense of wrongness and like really trying to contract my universe to like get away from all of the awareness. And then it was just like completely different. So that was probably around 8 years ago or 8.5 years ago. And it's been incredibly different for me since then. So no longer so much a chameleon, although I can still fit in, but I know I'm different enough to deal with stuff now.
Totally.
And
I was going to say that was a huge part of what really changed for me too. I think we're going to be also talking about everyday entities or how you can use entity stuff every day. And like Max and we'll see probably Satu too. I have no idea, but she's just always been calm and cool and collected. No,
I'm Finnish.
I also.
You're Finnish. That's how they behave.
Yeah, totally. I had so much anxiety before I found the tools of Talk to the Entities too. Anxiety and like scared to even leave my room or like all kinds of weird stuff. And then like I traveled a lot anyway. I kind of just forced myself to do things. And then later on, after finding out about entities and entity awareness and what the effect it has on your body, found out that, everywhere I went, I was just aware of new energies, new entities, old entities, pissed off entities.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
When did you first start Talk to the Entities, Alison?
I think like 8 years ago or something.
Well,
I think. I can't remember exactly, but something like that.
Got to round it off at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
what were you going to say, Satu?
That's the interesting thing where we kind of constantly think that entity is something that has nothing to do with your everyday life. It's just something that maybe one day, if you have time, you will look at it and you don't realize how much it's actually affecting you all the time. Everything you do, that they're constantly, and that you actually are aware of them, but you just don't realize because you think that's just so normal. That's just part of normal things. It's not entities for sure.
The difficulties are normal.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
All of the psychic difficulties and then how that manifests in all other ways, like money and relationships and body and all that. Like it's just like normal. Doesn't everybody have this?
Yeah.
Getting your cell phone to work. My phone is insane today.
Yeah. So Satu, when did you start Talk to the Entities? Because I know both of you guys have been facilitators for quite some time.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Quite like around the time when I found Access, it was one of the first classes that I took. And for me, it was always this thing where I knew that there's entities, but I was like, it doesn't really affect me, does it? So it was like, let's just leave it there. And maybe one day I'll take a look at it. But yeah, And it's been really cool to see because I live in Finland. So there's a lot of, like, not many people here, but there's a lot of entities here. There's a lot of forests, a lot of nature spirits, and how that affects you in so many ways. And that came pretty obvious to me after I started doing Access, because a lot of those entities here don't like Access. So I started to, like, I was immediately like, oh, I should not do this. I should not facilitate classes. And I had that constant, like, voice in my head saying that you should move out of here. Like, I was like, what, why? It's like, well, if you want to do Access, you have to move out of here, or otherwise you have to stop doing Access. And then I was like, oh, wait a second, this is not me. This is somebody else talking. And then I had to actually really start including entities in everything I do every day. And especially when it comes to Access, like facilitating classes, I have to include the fact that there are entities here who don't like this and who will try to stop it. And then I just need to, like, cooperate with them to be able to do this.
Wow. So what sort of everyday signs did you have that you were aware of entities at that time that you didn't realize?
Well, I have a lot of that stuff in my head where I would just hear people, like, hear entities talk in my head and say that don't do this, don't, like, stop doing this, and you shouldn't be doing this, this is wrong, this is bad, you're doing something wrong. And then another thing that I had was these intense headaches, like as if somebody just hit me at the back of my head with something really heavy, and then there was nothing helped it, nothing except going to sleep for like 12 hours, and then it was over.
Wow. What about you, Alison? What were the sort of the everyday signs of your entity awareness? Because I know it's different for every person. And that's why I love asking other facilitators, because I haven't spoken to you guys personally about this either.
Yeah. Well, I never expressed it out loud very much, but I had inside turmoil and rage. I'm from the Midwest, so we kind of keep everything hidden underneath the surface.
Keep it
So,
in!
you know, walk around looking pretty happy, keeping your smile on, but inside, like, either like, like, so aware of all of these, you could hear it in voices or energies, or it was just like a weird anxiety that I had made normal, basically. And now I know that anytime if I wake up in the morning and I feel anxious, or you, like, wake up, and oftentimes I'll notice it in the morning, and just think, like, the whole world, like, I've ruined my life, basically. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I feel like I've ruined my life. Probably entities, let me ask. And so I'll just ask, okay, is this entities or something else? Or am I aware of something? Because now I know that when I'm being me, it's actually just space and ease, and I like myself. And when I'm not, usually I'm just aware of things that are trying to get my attention, or if I'm in a weird building or a weird field where perhaps some cowboys and Indian stuff went along. I was just in the car with Arthur, and he's like, I just saw like 5 Indians, Native Americans on horses in the field. I'm like, entities? He's like, I don't know, it looked pretty real. I'm like, well, we're about to do an entities call, so. So I would say the anxiety stuff has been pretty common for me. And then more and more now, it's just more of a, depending on the entity, there's some that are there that are fun to work with, and some that aren't so fun. The ones that have been more fun, like the nature spirits, like Satu was talking about, and things like that. Now that I don't have a filter in my head that all entities are bad. Now those energies are like, oh, hi, something nice is here. Ooh, what's this? What energies are here? So it's changed over the years from turmoil and upset to space and ease. And if it's not space and ease, then I know to say hello to something, whatever that thing is.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that's popping up for me as well is the reason I used to have like a lot of pain, like a lot of psychological pain, but then, like I said beforehand, it transferred into like a lot of areas of my life, was I was aware of entities, but then like the degree of avoidance that I did to try and get away from that awareness, because I never acknowledged it, that's what really caused like a lot of pain for me and a lot of like dysfunction in my life.
Totally.
And I was literally just trying to get away from everything all the time, like responsibilities, money, and difficulties in relationships, all that sort of stuff. And when I started using the Talk to Entities tools, and it took a while to sort of build that muscle for myself, and sometimes I still need reminders like, oh, deal with entity stuff. and then everything just gets so much easier, and then it's just easier to choose things, to create, to move other stuff. That's like not necessarily entity related.
Yeah.
The amount of energy that I have put and still sometimes put into avoiding the awareness and then being the facilitation, the energy to like shift that is incredible. It's like so much of our energy goes into that sort of thing. And then if you guys have heard or done any access recently, you would have heard of avoiding and defending, because they come hand in hand. So avoiding is like where you're obviously avoiding something, usually awareness. And then the defending is literally where you're like defending against the awareness. And that's where people even go into like making their awareness wrong, or making like, no, of course I'm not aware of entities. No, why would I be? That's like the defense part of it. And they go hand in hand to keep things basically the same. Because to deal with entities, you have to actually really change, and be different, and recognize how fucking weird you are, and capable, and so much more capable than people that just like love to avoid and ignore entities and their awareness and possibilities, all the energetics that exist in our lives.
That's interesting also to hear from you, because you work so closely with the business of Talk to the Entities. So to hear that, I'd be curious to hear, like, how does that also show up in your life, like everyday life? What's it like to, because there's clearly a lot of entities that you need to work with to make it work. So how's that for you?
Yeah, it's that thing of like choosing to be more, and then when I don't, it's like gets painful and difficult, and it's sort of like trying to slog through every day, and it's so easy to sort of distract myself as well, which is part of the avoidance. Is like when to avoid something, you can distract yourself and go, oh no, it's all about this. I have money problems, I have this problem, I have that problem. Whereas actually you can go to the space of, okay, I'm actually going to lower my walls and barriers now and expand out in all directions and perceive, know, be, and receive everything right now that I've been avoiding. And that choice for being something different and receiving something greater is everything in this way, and like creating the business and being able to work with it. And yeah, and it's like literally there's like no definition. As soon as I try to go to definition or working it out, I'm going backwards again. But if I'm willing to be out of definition enough to just energetically be greater with all of that, everything becomes easier, and that's sort of like the gauge. When things are ease, when things are joyful, playful, fun, expansive, that's my gauge now, most of the time, most of the time. But that's my gauge usually now to, yeah, cool, I'm on the right track. And if things are difficult, I'm gonna ask a question.
I love that you said like you're not avoiding so many, like everything anymore, because that just reminds me too of how much these tools and using them every day really help me to be around people in bodies also, because I would want to avoid those suckers like the plague. I mean, all you guys. But now it's like, oh, the more you lower your barriers. So one of the things that you can do every single day with entities or energies or whatever you're aware of is to lower your barriers and relax. So even when you're around those beings that you can see, people in bodies, for me, I get to lower my barriers if I feel like it. You don't have to engage with people if you don't want to, but when you do, lower your barriers, relax, and you can just say hi. There isn't like a person on the planet that you haven't known in one lifetime or another. So there's going to be all these weird like reactions or interactions or avoiding, defending with the people that you run into, the people that you work with all the time. So even using the tools of Talk to the Entities with people in bodies, they're entities too, really helps with the ease of life every day for me personally.
I've like had exactly the same. Like a lot of the tools that I got from Talk to Entities really made the everyday life literally easier with people and with so many other things too, because you learn these things that don't work just for entities, but you also learn to be aware like aware of the energies that are behind everything that I never got to practice so much as what I got with entities. So yeah, it literally was like the greatest gift from my everyday life.
I've really had to acknowledge, actually, over the last month, I've noticed it specifically, that thing of being around people, like you guys are saying, the entities that they come with as well, and all of those relationships and interactions that are constantly going on, because most people in their relationships are insane, you know, with people, but also in regards to entities, especially with that avoidance and the defending that they do. And then like it creates so much crap, basically. But we're aware of all of that too.
Alison disappeared.
Might still be there, who knows? There she is.
I'm back.
So it's like literally acknowledging how many of those entities that are coming with those people you're aware of as well, because it's this whole cluster of relationships that are just walking around, you know, with one person or two people, and then you get a family of people, and that's this whole other huge pot of like the ancestors and all of the points of views that exist there. Like, how many points of views are you guys aware of, not just of the people that you're around, but of the entities that are with those people and their interactions?
Yeah. You think you're with one person, but you're actually with like 10.
Yeah.
And they're all speaking with the same mouth.
Yeah. So it's like acknowledgement is really, I want to say this to everybody who's watching, acknowledgement is really the first step in receiving more of what you're capable of, what you're aware of, and to step into being that energy of facilitating something different. And it doesn't mean you're not facilitating as in like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, talking to somebody and facilitating them. It's like you being that energy of acknowledging your awareness first and foremost. And like Alison said, lowering your walls and barriers and relaxing into that awareness. And bigger than that, like you being that energy is the change that is changes everything and changes people's realities. They might not even get what's going on, but they will walk away different.
Yeah.
They might walk away and have more ease. They might go away and be more angry or something because they have less of their barriers and, you know, avoidances up. But it will create change. And it doesn't matter about the other people. I want to just say that for anyone who wants to like heal everybody. Don't worry about the other people. It's not about them. It's just like, what are you willing to be? What can you create? Like, what choice can you make with your awareness and your capabilities?
Yeah.
I love that. Be you, change the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be with entities, change the world.
Yeah. And we have the choice. We can either like suffer and sort of like dull our senses, our awareness, our perception, our knowing, everything down, or we can work to have something different.
Yeah.
And yeah, none of us are perfect, you know. No one that's an entity facilitator or a access facilitator are perfect. Like, we're all in the process. So it's like, no matter where you're at in your life right now, you can begin somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I was effed at the beginning, and I was like, you know, like I said, 10, 11 years ago, I started access, and it's just been bit by bit by bit. But every time you make a choice for something for greater, it's like you're adding another coin into that vault of your being.
Yeah. One thing I just love doing too, or I have been doing lately, just with the, you know, it got me thinking about us talking about everyday entities plus what we've been in the past and things you'll run into from your past that you don't even know or that you're avoiding. I love going through genres of movies, like at night when it's time to relax, you go put your Netflix on, and then I've gone through like 5 Viking series, and now like into the Germanic tribes, and now into like Asia, and just watching all of that stuff being like, whoa, how many of those things was I? Holy crap. And it starts to, in a playful way, allow me to access all of those energies that I'm avoiding, that I've decided I would never be again, or that will still have an effect on me now. And even running bars to like movies of past stuff that trigger your past lifetime stuff helps you to have more ease with all the stuff that you're going to run into today too.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we have another minute or even less before there's another group of Talk to Entities facilitators coming on to chat to you guys. So I just want to quickly mention as well, there's a 50% off sale in the Talk to Entities shop, which is awesome.
Yay!
Yay!
I know a lot of people have been taking advantage of it already. I've seen a lot of sales and stuff come through, and it's awesome because like all the talking into specialty classes, you know, that like go 3 calls into very specific areas, some of which we've been talking about. And there's just, yeah, if you want something different, you can, that's one way to get to work.
It's too easy though.
Too easy.
Don't do it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. I love being on here with
Thank
you.
you.
Me too. Thank you.
Yay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.